Good day, Deep and Word family. We are in day 10 of our Bible study review. I really hope you're enjoying it at this point, all right? And you see that the Bible is far from boring, honey. It's the best telenovela you will ever set your imagination to, all right? So as we walk into day 10, the chapter study for review today, it is 32 through 34 of Genesis. So now we know Jacob is on his way back to the land of Canaan, and as he is on his way, he sees messengers of Elohim. And right here it says in verse 2, when Yaakov saw them, he said, "This is the camp of Elohim." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. So keep in mind, this has been 20 years since he left the land of Canaan, since he took the birthright of his brother Esau and the blessing. So now he's treading. He's treading lightly, like walking on eggshells as he's going back to the land of Canaan. So what does he do? He sends messengers ahead of him to go and see his brother Esau. And what is he trying to do? He is trying to appease his brother. So he's sending gifts ahead of time. He sends his messengers, and his messengers come back and let Jacob know. He goes, "We have seen your brother Esau. He is coming with 400 men." It looks like Esau is still holding a grudge 20 years later. Remember, he worked 7 years for Rachel, but Laban deceived him. So he worked 7 more years to get who he really wanted. 14 plus 6 years watching over the flocks of Laban. It's been 20 years. It's been 20 years. You would think maybe some of that hatred, maybe some of that bitterness would fall away from Esau. But it looks like he still wants to come and destroy his brother. Why else would you be coming with 400 men beside you? And so Jacob is distressed. He is in fear. He immediately goes to call upon his covenant partner, Elohim. And this is what he says right here in verse 9. "O Elohim of my father Abraham, and Elohim of my father Yitzhak, who said to me, 'Return to your land and to your relatives, and I do good to you. I do not deserve the least of the acts of kindness and all the truth which you have shown to your servant. For I passed over this garden with my staff, and now I have become 2 groups." As he's praying, as he taps into this line of communication with Elohim, he reminds him. He's like, "You are the one who told me to return back to this land. And now I'm facing opposition from my brother, the one whom I deceived out of the birthright." So he's praying to remind Elohim of his words. So Jacob divides his camp. He sends 2 camps ahead of him, and he tells them both to say the same thing when they see Esau. And they are going with goats, camels. Just read how much he is sending ahead to appease his brother. And this is what he tells both camps to say. And he also tells them to keep distance between them so that Esau, when he is approaching, he sees these 2 camps coming with all of these gifts. And he commanded the first one, saying, "When Esau, my brother, meets you and asks you, saying, 'To whom do you belong, and where are you going, and whose are these in front of you?' Then you shall say, 'They are your servant Jacob's. It is a present sent to my master Esau.'" Do you see? He is using humble speech towards his brother. So both camps are called to say the same thing when they approach Esau. So the 2 camps do as instructed by Jacob, and it says that very night that he sends his wife and his children away, and he wants time alone in his own tent. And it's this very night that it says a man appears and starts wrestling with him. And it says that Jacob wrestles with him until day breaks. And he tells this man, "I will not leave you alone until you bless me." And so this man asks Jacob, "What is your name?" And he says, Yaakov. And then the man says, "Your name is no longer Yaakov, it is Israel, because you have struggled with God and man, and you have overcome." He struggled with Esau, his brother. He struggled with his uncle Laban. He toiled for 20 years before he came back to the land. And so some people think that this is Elohim himself or an angel, a messenger. His name is changed from supplanter, deceiver, to one who wrestles and one who overcomes, Israel. Remember, back in the first and second teaching, I told you, right? Elohim, our Heavenly Father, attached a part of his name on Jacob's name. He put some respect on it. Chapter 33, now it says that Jacob looked up and he saw his brother coming with 400 men. Oh my goodness. What is he thinking? What is going on in his mind? So what does he do? He breaks up the camp and he sends the servant women and those children up front, then Leah and those children, and then Rachel closer to him. Okay, we know who his favorite is. And so it says that Esau came and met him right here in verse 4. Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw women and children and said, "Who are these with you?" And he said, "These children with whom Elohim has favored your servant." Then the female servants came near. Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah, and all of the children came near, and they all bowed to Esau. And then Esau said this in verse 8, "What do you mean by all this company which I meet?" And he said, "To find favor in the eyes of my master." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Let what you have remain with you." But Jacob toiled back and forth with his brother, and he insisted. So Esau received all of the gracious gifts. Now think about how tired that Jacob is. He was wrestling with this man, all right, to receive the blessing. Then he runs into his brother and he has all of this stress built up in his body, and he's driving these animals, these flocks, he's driving his children hard to press forward and move past this barrier. And now he's telling Esau, "Please let me pass, but pass slowly with these flocks." He goes, "If I drive them any harder, these animals will die. Let me move slowly with them." And this is Esau's response. "Please let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, "Why this? Let me find favor in the eyes of my master." So they are both speaking humbly and graciously towards one another. Esau does not have any more bitterness towards his brother. He loves him. And from there, Esau returns back to his land, and we see that Jacob goes to a place called Succoth. Now, this is connected to tabernacles, tents, booths, all right? If you've heard of the seventh biblical feast, it's the Feast of Tabernacles. This is why Jacob, Yaakov, or Israel is called a man who dwells in tents. So he pitches a tent, and this place is called Succoth. He pitches his tent there and buys a portion of land. Now we walk into chapter 34, and we see that Dinah, in this land that her father pitched a tent, now she's going to go meet the daughters of the land. And when she goes to do this, a prince named Shechem, the son of the king, takes Israel's daughter and he rapes her. And it says, though he raped her, he loved the girl, he spoke softly towards her, and immediately he goes to ask Jacob, or Israel, her father, if he can have her hand in marriage, if he can take her for a wife. Jacob is distressed and hurt deeply because his daughter has been defiled. Not only has she been raped, but she has been raped by an uncircumcised man. So the king of the land, the father of Shechem, Hamor, he goes to Jacob and he asks, can he have this girl, his daughter, to be a wife for his son, Shechem? And he says, please, let us exchange daughters. Let us become one people. Intermarry with us, and we will be merry in this land. He tells him, look around. There's so much to partake of. So the son, Shechem, steps up and he says, ask whatever it is for a bride price, and I'll pay it. I love your daughter, and I want her for my wife. And so the sons of Israel step up. And it says right here in verse 13, but the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father, and spoke with deceit because he had defiled Dinah. And they said to them, we are not able to do this matter, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised. That would be a reproach for us. And so they speak deceitfully, and they say, we will intermarry with you on one account. All of the men in your kingdom must be circumcised. And so they agree to do so. And as the men are circumcised, it says on the third day, when they are in pain, hurting from being circumcised, that there are two sons that come in and rebel to kill all of the men of the town, especially Shechem and Hamor. These two sons are the sons of Leah, Shimon and Levi, or Simon and Levi. Not only do they kill all of the males in the city, but they plunder the city. They take away all of the riches. Then they take the wives of the ones whom they just killed. They take the children. They take all of their riches along with them. And this is how Jacob responds right here in verse 30. You have troubled me by making such a stench among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I am few in number. They shall gather themselves against me and shall smite me, and I shall be destroyed, my household and I. But they said, should they treat our sister like a whore? And literally, that's how chapter 34 ends. These two sons, Simon and Levi, made a covenant, made an agreement, but intentionally broke it. They placed before the king and his son a covenant with full intentions on breaking it. And so this sends even greater distress to Jacob. Think of all that Jacob has gone through, from fleeing Laban to then wrestling with this man and his hip being out of place, and now he has a new name. Then the stress of meeting his brother Esau, overcoming that, hearing that his daughter has been raped, and now hearing that his sons have plundered a land. Oh my goodness, what trouble Jacob is going through. Please do not be like the children of Israel, Levi, and Simon, because they did not consult with their father. Many of the children of Elohim go forth and they take revenge. They take it in their own hands. But our Heavenly Father says, vengeance is mine. We are always to consult with the Father day and night. Approach his throne just like Jacob did. Jacob was always a man of prayer. He always consulted Elohim with everything he did. Even the mothers of his children consulted Elohim in naming these boys. So if you are going to take away any lesson of today, it is the power of prayer. It is staying in close communication with your Creator, with your covenant partner. He loves you. Please don't make a plan without him and expect him to bless it. Consult with him on everything and then ask him, do you want me to move forward with this thing? And if the answer is yes, he will confirm it. Deep in Word family, that is all I have for today's Bible study reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. Yah bless.